Hello, my name is Nick Kelly. This is my Epistemology Project. In this project, I would like to explore John Vervaeke's theory of knowledge. As a cognitive scientist, John Vervaeke outlines what he calls the four ways of knowing. Those are propositional knowing, procedural knowing, perspectival knowing, and participatory knowing. I'm already a little bit familiar with this framework and find it very intuitive, practical, and highly relevant, not just philosophically, but in everyday experience. So I'm pursuing this master's degree in philosophy to become a philosophical counselor, and I see this theory as sort of central to my approach and something that I'll definitely regularly reference. For the project itself, it might be a little bit strange, but I'd like to produce this video that presents kind of a crash course in the four ways of knowing, layered over some footage from my current occupation as a heavy equipment operator. In my work, I regularly engage in complex operations involving cranes, commercial vehicles, and large machinery. I often use a drone, which you'll see, to gain a bird's eye perspective, which allows me to enhance my perspectival awareness of the environment, the equipment, and the load that's in motion. I also use a GoPro to capture a first-person perspective during these operations. So I'm gonna use that footage to try and draw out some of the layers or ways of knowing that John Vervaeke delineates. And the real goal of this video project is to use these real life examples visually layered over some narration to illustrate the integration and application of the four ways of knowing. I believe and I hope that this sort of multimedia approach will offer a dynamic and meaningful interpretation of his theory and really get the audience to sort of participate in it. So I am going to go through a crash course, and then I'm going to go through a first-person narration over some first-person footage from the GoPro, which I'm hoping will kind of really draw the audience into a to a participatory sense for what he means by that. And then the second first-person perspective will be on a scene that I want to highlight more of the perspectival layer of knowing. So here we go with the first one. In every complex task, such as lifting a trailer with a crane, maneuvering a semi-truck through a tight corridor, or balancing a load with millimeter precision, there are many kinds of knowing at work. Not all knowing is encapsulated within language. Sometimes it begins with weights, with torque, and with leverage. Some knowledge is mainly what we are capable or trained to notice with the senses. We don't just know the world, we encounter it. We orient ourselves within it. John Vervaeke, a cognitive scientist and philosopher, has developed an epistemological theory he calls the four ways of knowing. Not four types of data, but four epistemic orientations, four modes by which we come into contact with what is real. And this, Gallagher reminds us in his book, Philosophy of Knowledge, is the true aim of knowledge, not certainty, but contact. Not a disembodied view from nowhere, but a lived relation between self and world. Whether you're rigging a load, exploring Mars, playing jazz, or practicing philosophy, these four modes are always in motion, shaping how we orient ourselves in the world. So first, there's propositional knowing. Propositional knowing is the most familiar and overvalued in much philosophy, culture, and epistemic theory. This is knowing that. It's knowing that a hydrogen has one proton. It's knowing that Kant's Critique was published in 1781. It's knowing that a chain rated for 5 tons shouldn't be lifting 10. This is the world of logic and language, assertions of belief, definitions, and syllogisms. In philosophy, it's often the starting point, with clear concepts, clean distinctions, precise arguments. But as Plato warned, propositions are just shadows on the cave wall. They point beyond themselves. They aren't the fire, and they aren't the really real. So then comes procedural knowing. Procedural knowing is knowing how to operate a crane, how to ride a bike, how to play a scale, or develop a craft. This is not declarative knowledge, it's embodied skill. Gallagher points to motor intentionality, the body's way of anticipating outcomes through movement and interaction. Here, intelligence emerges from action, not from rules, but from feedback loops. Vervaeke aligns this with inactive cognition, knowledge formed through repeated performance. In Aristotle's terms, this is techne, or habits. In practice, it often outpaces theory. You don't theorize balance, you feel it. You adapt it. You know what works because you've done what fails. So next is perspectival knowing. But skill alone is not enough. Perspective matters. This is where perspectival knowing comes in. This is knowing what it's like from a standpoint. Gallagher emphasizes this in his critique of objectivism. There's no view from nowhere, is what he says. All knowing emerges from embodied subjectivity, from the who, where, and why of the knower. On a job site, the view from the cab gives one truth, from the drone another, and the co-worker or co-operator another. Philosophers, too, must shift views. The Socratic method is truly perspectival. It breaks the frame, forcing the thinker to see from new angles, to question their angles and their assumptions. Wisdom demands this flexibility, this capacity to see otherwise. Then finally, there's participatory knowing. This is the deepest layer of knowing. Gallagher calls this the being in the world. We do not approach knowledge from the outside. We are always already embedded. Our knowing is never neutral. It's shaped by our goals, our care, our involvement. Vervaeke draws from Heidegger and Merleau-Ponty and enactivist theories to frame this as the ground of the other three ways. Not knowing about, but knowing knowing with and as. Not having knowledge, but being known by what we engage. And in the practical world, it's when the tool and the user cease to be separate. You become the crane, the movement, the flow. This is knowledge that is not accumulation, but is transformation. So I'd like to move on to a scenario here where I am on the side of the highway and I'm dealing with as you can see here, I'm laying down on the side of the highway at night. There was a tractor trailer that got into a fatal accident where somebody actually unfortunately died, and we needed to use a crane to separate the two vehicles and then hook up to the tractor trailer. And I'm at the point now where I'm getting underneath the tractor trailer to disconnect the drive shaft, which is about 150 pounds. I also, in order to do this, need to be able to break 4 bolts that are torqued to about 250, anywhere from 250 to 300 foot-pounds, which is, it takes quite a bit of strength. And I'm in a very tight space, so I don't have a lot of room to move or to gain a lot of leverage. And then there's also the added pressure of the situation where the entire interstate is blocked off, and I have about 15 to 20 officials, detectives, state police officers, DOT workers that are pressuring me and my team to move quickly to get the interstate open. So what I'm going to want you to do in this video is to try to use those senses to embody the experience that I'm going through. The audio will help you with that. I want you to sort of sink into the experience that I'm going through. Try to feel the aches of the muscles and the tension of my body being crammed into this small space, and see what it does for you. And I'll narrate as I see appropriate during this. So there's the drive shaft right there.
Do you need something? If you're not doing anything, I'm pulling this drive shaft. Pass me the gun, Jay. Oh, half inch, Jay, half inch.
That is half inch.
No, it's not. We'll grip half inch.
So precision and efficiency, working quickly but very safely, because this is a very dangerous thing. I don't have any room down here, and everything weighs. I'm literally underneath an 80,000-pound tractor trailer. We're also wearing headsets so we can talk to each other at a distance and hear each other.
We're gonna hang it.
You hang it up there?
Yeah. Alright, that'll hold it once it gets up there. Where you at, Jay? Alright, here we go. Jay, go get my my pry bar. Or the breaker bar.
So the
Jay,
large half-inch
get
impact gun that I have won't take these bolts out, so I need something that will allow me to gain more
drive
leverage.
line set. There is a straight, shallow, 12-point half inch. So I can break this. Yes, sir. What does he want?
So you can hear in the background one of the state troopers is telling us to hurry up. That they need to open up the highway.
There you go. You got it.
Yeah, they were too tight for the gun. Yep. And a hammer.
So I'm putting my left knee right on the drive shaft, because when I take this last bolt out, I don't want it to fall on me, because it's very heavy, and I'm also on my back, you know, kind of looking at the sky, so I don't have
I've already got the shaft out.
a lot of ways of protecting myself.
All right, I'm almost out with it. I'm just going to bang it out with a hammer right now. It's unloaded. It's wiggling back and forth. It's totally fine. I didn't need to. I didn't check. Where's the pry bar? Pry bar, Jay. Yes, the gear is cranked down. Jason, I need a heavier hammer in the toolbox and a pry bar. Yes. Nah, I think there should be a bigger one in there, but. There we go. It should be in the, like where my tow bag is. There should be a yellow or a red pry bar.
So I literally have a 10-pound sledgehammer on this at this point. I'm getting very tired from swinging the hammer, from doing all of this. Starting to fatigue.
Keep some tension on it. Go ahead. Good. That's good. Just put some tension on it.
It's strapped. You got it strapped, right?
Yeah, I got it strapped.
I know you got it strapped.
There's the big hammer. Or right behind you. There it goes, Jay. Okay. You see that? Okay, that side's out.
Yeah, it's for free. Oh, you got this one. Okay, here it is. It's coming now.
Okay, ready?
Gone. Almost. There you go. Got it. Got it. Alright.
There
Alright,
it is.
we're out.
Alright.
It's
Pull
out.
these hammers out, Jay.
So I hope that gave a little bit of a sense of real embodied intention within you. That is really, if it was successful in making you feel that is the sense of participatory knowing, where you have become sort of immersed into me and what I was going through. You are participating in the experience of what it was like to be an agent within that specific arena, with those set of constraints on your level of competence and your reliance on whatever capacity of procedural knowing that you have. So that's really what the intention of that particular video footage, first-person video footage, was supposed to try to draw out. This next one is going to be a little bit more focused on the perspectival flexibility that is within complex tasks, or really any tasks that we do. It's just that these particular videos have such a high level of complexity and practice and knowing or knowledge that it kind of gives me the opportunity to sort of highlight those layers of knowing that John Vervaeke is talking about. So in this particular one, there's a tractor trailer that has gone up and over an embankment, but is sitting on the apex of the embankment. And we're going to use these two wreckers basically to pick it up and recover it and pull it back onto the roadway safely. And what I want you to see is that there are 4 individuals that are involved in this operation, that we are all communicating through headsets, giving each other instructions on our perspective. So how this applies is we can't be so concerned about propositional assertions of truth and battling in a rivalrous way where where someone's perspective is, the truth, is not going to fly here. It has to be a true and accurate, clear propositional statement of your perspective so that the 2 operators can see clearly from an angle that they wouldn't otherwise be able to see. So it's really an exercise in high levels of perspectival knowing. Here we go. So I'm going to be operating the white one, and the operator for the crane is going to be in the yellow jacket in the distance here, and you'll see him way over there. There's a supervisor to the left who's going to have the ultimate say and give the ultimate instruction.
My red line, where's it actually hooked? Okay.
So we're communicating to each other. If you look at the controls on my control box, there's a yellow lever and a red lever, and you'll see at the bottom of the screen there's a yellow hook. The reason we put the colors to those levers and to those hooks is because yellow, it means left, and red means right. So the supervisor or the lift coordinator or the recovery coordinator can call out, Nick, yellow, more yellow, which cognitively is a good heuristic that allows me to just sort of move my left hand so that the yellow or the left line pulls the way that the lift coordinator wants it to. It's just a quick heuristic to make the whole operation a little bit quicker. So that's what you're hearing there. And then you'll see all the way at the right-hand side, at the apex of the embankment, you'll see one more operator who's calling out and watching the trailer itself as it comes over the apex of the embankment. So we're just checking the configuration of the boom here. He's calling out.
Yeah, we are way out.
That the boom needs to be further down into the saddle for leverage reasons. So I'm bringing it down here. You can see it just kind of going back down into the saddle, which is going to stabilize the boom side to side.
Go up against it. My tilt tower all the way down? Yeah, it is. Okay. All right.
So here we go. We're going to begin the recovery.
Yellow.
Slowly but surely, you'll see the red tractor moving closer and closer to the roadway. But we're speaking to each other.
Why? Am I close to the outrigger? Okay. Red? Yep. Yellow. Yellow. No more red. Yeah, I got you. Nick's got it. Nick's got the trailer. Oop.
So there's a ton of ice everywhere, so it's a very dangerous day. But we would also
Can you
use
put
a
that-
drone.
Can you put the rear axle down? Just like maybe, yeah, like drag it, just so the trailer doesn't push into you. I'm winching. Yellow. Yellow.
So sometimes if the weather was nicer, we'd use a drone to sort of give a sky view, and then the drone would give us, there would be a screen on my hip that I'd be able to see a bird's eye view, but the weather wasn't permitting us to use a drone, unfortunately, in this scenario.
Stop.
So those were just the initial stages of that specific recovery. We eventually got it all the way out, but I just wanted to give you a sense for how an enhanced awareness of the phenomenon or the happening of perspectival knowing can enable a group that is trying to operate together or process information together. The perspectival flexibility is crucial. It's crucial to the success of an everyday operation like that. And so I hope that that sort of gave you the, pun intended, perspective of the value of that. So I'm just going to conclude now and just have a little bit of video footage of some of the other lifts that I've done. So in conclusion, Vervaeke's theory is a structure of knowledge as a multi-layered nesting with propositional clarity as the pointer to procedural finesse, nested inside perspectival flexibility, nested inside of participatory transformation. Kenneth Gallagher's critique of modern epistemology is that it forgot the subject. It reduced knowledge to statements stripped of the person who speaks. It ignored the fact that knowing is always from somewhere, by someone, for some reason. Vervaeke recovers this scientifically and existentially. His four ways don't cancel logic, they situate it. They remind us that truth is not isolated, it is lived. And this is where philosophy and practice can finally meet. We see how a concept like intentionality isn't just academic jargon. It's visible in a rigging operation, in the feeling of tension in steel, in the breath before the lift. Gallagher and Vervaeke agree. We do not stand apart from the world, we stand within it, moved by it, shaped by it, capable of changing in response to what's real. That is what makes knowing a human act, and maybe, just maybe, what makes it sacred. Thank you for participating in this. I hope it accomplished the goals that I set it out for. Thank you very much.